Hey everybody, I just want to kind of show you what I'm doing here. So the title of this video is going to be called Let's Go Fractal. And so what I'm basically doing, and I'm going to pause it here just after I show you real quick, is I take these, what I do is once I have my main overlays, I select, say I find something that's interesting on, like this area right here. So what I do is I select all of them like that, so that with a rectangle, so that they're all covering the same thing, right? And then what I do is I go down here and I chop them to the areas, like for example, okay, so this guy here, so I delete that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to this next one, and I'm going to get to the same area, and I'm just going to continue on. And usually I use the same box, that way I can just line it up every time like that. Okay. And so what you can see that's happening here is that it's producing something that's easy for the eyes to focus on. Okay. So when I get this finished up here, I'll show you here exactly just how fractal we can actually go. As you can see, I'm still doing more fractals. I'm basically cutting pieces and then cutting them down into smaller pieces and then cutting them down into smaller pieces and basically seeing how fractal I can go with this thing. It appears to be pretty fractal, so I'll let you know here in just a minute. Well, as you can see, I'm still going fractal here. Here's my latest. I don't want there to be any doubt in the skeptics' heads, because what I'm actually proving here is just how fractal that we can actually go. So I'll get back with you in here in a second. This is one of the latest ones that I'm doing right here. I'm going to get rid of everything all the way up to there, like this. I'm just going to move that to each one of these guys like this. This is how I do it, folks. It's not that difficult. Once you spot the larger fractal and you know what patterns to look for, you can start chopping it up into smaller pieces. And I will explain the significance of what I think all this means here in just a second. So see, now that I've chopped that up, your eye can follow through that really easy, see, and you can tell it's the same thing. We can even chop it up into smaller pieces if we wanted to, just this part right here, and we can just keep going, you see, all the way down the line. So I'll get with you in just a minute. Okay, so you ready to go fractal? We're going to go fractal. First of all, for any of you guys who do not know what I'm doing, and I try to say this every video, otherwise I get people that are confused, just really quick, I researched the Orion Nebula. I've noticed that people have been painting the Orion Nebula in art for hundreds of years, especially the trapezium area. I believe they've connected there with their subconscious somehow. My latest find is in researching the Egyptian afterlife. I noticed their description of the celestial Nile and the afterlife, which is supposed to be a mirror of their ideal version of Egypt. What I discovered is this area right here, where the Nile starts, is a pattern that I recognize that is the trapezium with inside the Orion Nebula, because this is what I'm noticing, is that things are fractals from the Orion Nebula. Okay, so there's your overview. Now for this video is so that we can basically put to rest that this is some other thing than what we're seeing here. Okay. Now I have gone very fractal on this thing for you guys. I could do this forever, but honestly, there's only so much time in the day. I could keep going fractal forever if I wanted to on this. What you're going to have to keep in mind too is that when I overlay the Orion Nebula originally on top of this thing, I'm not zooming down to the detail that you're going to notice on some of these things. And so what I was basing it off was my ability to be able to line these things up exactly the best that I could based on what I could see. Once I do that, and then I start sectioning it out, I can notice that there's slight morphings between what you originally see and the end version. This is the original Nile area of the Nile in Egypt. This is the original version of the Orion Nebula. I take this, I copy and paste it 5 times, then I take the Orion Nebula and I lay it on top of it, and I increase the transparency all the way until you get the original of the Orion Nebula. That way you can use your eyes to follow all the way across. Okay, so let's take a look and see just how fractal that I was able to go with this thing. So the first area we're going to take a look at is this triangular area right here. Do you see that? Let's zoom in a little bit more. That's going to be this area right here on the Orion Nebula trapezium. So what I've done over here is I've got that triangle right here. Okay, so the easy way to spot this thing, if you'll just eye this right here and just take your eyes all the way through, you'll notice that on this side you still have the triangle that encompasses this area right here. It goes all the way through that. Now what I did for you beyond that is I went a little bit more fractal, and I zoomed in on this little pink thing right here. So here it is, blown up. Okay, and if you just follow your eyes through, you can see that all of it is contained in each piece of this. Here's the triangle, and we could keep going fractal on this if you want to. Here's the stem, and here's the triangle on top. Here's the stem, here's the triangle on top, here's the stem, here's the triangle on top, and then once again, if you want to get a smaller view of it, here you go right here. Okay, now I went fractal with another piece of this thing, and that is I went fractal with this part right here. And what you're looking at is this area right here. Okay, and so I pulled it out right here. Now, and there's certain things you can pick up on that go all the way through. And I'm kind of like trying to bring your eyes to focus on those right now. Notice the curvature. Notice the placement of this little dot here. Notice the placement of this little dot here. Do you realize how fractal we're going with this, folks? Okay, we're zooming in almost to the planet to where you can actually start to see real detail. And just to give you an idea of what you're looking at, okay, in size comparison, when you look at this area right here, is you're looking at something which is the size of well, it's basically the size of this area right here. That's how fractal we're going right now. And that's not it. Okay? So, the next one, what I looked at was I noticed that this dark area that extends out on this side, just back out real quick. Already at 9 minutes, so I need to hurry up here. Okay, so I took this all the way through, and so that's what we have right here. So if I zoom in, that's what we're looking at right here. Okay, so then I went fractal on that, which is what you're looking at right here, and as you can see, you can follow that pattern all the way through. There you go. You could still, if we wanted to go even more fractal, we could pick out that part. We could pick out that part. We could just keep going more and more fractal. Okay, the next part I wanted to show you This is the mouth of the Nile, comes in right here. If you're looking at it right there. This is one of the main things I key in on when I'm looking at the larger fractal. Okay, so then what I did was I zoomed in on this piece right here, and that's what you're looking at right here. And then I zoomed in on this area right here. Okay, and that's what you're looking at right here on the. Just show you over here real quick. We're looking at this piece right here, and that's what this is. You can see as we go all the way through, we still have the same thing right here. And then I went fractal a little bit more on that, and I pulled this bottom piece out, and you can see that we have a dark area right here as well. And if your eyes just follow all the way through, you'll notice we have one there and one there, which matches this one and this one, this one and this one. You see what I'm saying? Same thing all the way through. Now this part I go really fractal, and this is going to be it here. Okay, so now what we're looking at is we are looking at this area right here. Now you notice I've gone all over the place here. I've hit here, I've hit here, I've hit everything. And what that basically means is that's exactly what they do in facial recognition, except this is a hell of a lot more complex than facial recognition. And so that basically means that the numbers and stuff like this would be a lot, the probability, I mean, you realize this is astronomical what we're looking at. So all of you skeptics out there, you're going to have to start saying, okay, it's a duck, all right? It's quacking, it's walking like a duck, it's a duck. And then I want to hopefully tell you real quick what I think all this means. So here it is up here. Here's the top of it. I want you to notice, follow your eyes around the land. You're going to notice that the trapezium area does the same thing right here. Okay, so then I went a little bit more fractal, and I decided to look at this piece right here. Actually, right here. Okay. And so here we are. Keep your eye on the dark patch and go all the way through. And you can see basically how it kind of slightly, but you can still see the fractal. It probably has something to do with color changes. But right here, it just kind of like morphed it into that. But everything else is the same. All the angles, everything. You can see that, all the slopes and everything are the same. So I decided to go a little bit more fractal. And I decided to zoom in on this piece right here. Okay. So here we go right here. And you can follow your eyes all the way through and it's the same. Okay. And then I decided to go even more fractal. And this is about as fractal as I can go based on the resolution. And so I grabbed that piece right here, and you can follow your eyes all the way through and you can see that this is the same thing. Now just to show you in size comparison what you're looking at, you were looking at, well, you were looking at this piece, and then you're looking at something about this size right here. That's how fractal I was able to go with this thing. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, my initial guess means that probably if I'm guessing that if you were to compare, if you want to see if somebody's DNA matched somebody else's DNA to see whether they're related or not, I would say that this is probably similar to something like that. I would say that we probably come from the Orion Nebula physically, that we are a fractal of that. At least part of this Earth is definitely from there. And I'm still doing some research. I believe consciousness works the same way, and fractal, in other words, all of our souls and everything are fractals of the consciousness that comes from the Orion Nebula also. I'm going to post this on my Facebook, but I just want to show you this and hope this satisfies all of you skeptics out there that this is definitely what we're seeing, and we need to dig into it further. When they start handing out peace prizes for determining this stuff without physics, that they hand one to me. Y'all take care. Talk to you soon.